Hi, everybody. Ian Bremmer here, and a quick take to kick off your U.S. election week. I'd say happy election day, but it seems more a matter of stress and anxiety for most Americans I know, and frankly, for most non-Americans I know that are watching it. In many ways, this is really not the election that we want to be having. Not because there's a problem with the electoral process itself, though you wouldn't know that from watching people online. There have been a lot of studies and audits on non-citizens voting, for example, which has gotten a huge amount of attention in Congress recently and on Twitter recently, and virtually no non-citizens are ever on rolls or vote. There was recently a Georgia audit, did a full audit of 8 million people registered, and 20 of them, 20, were non-citizens. You've never had an election remotely swingable on the basis of illegal voters going to the polls. There are no cyber issues because you're not allowed to vote online. That would be one of the most vulnerable parts of a U.S. election if that wasn't the case. You can track your mail if you are voting by mail, as I did, for example, in almost every state. Just in a few non-swing states, you can. Is it not possible to track exactly the state of your vote? I mean, this is in many ways, this is the kind of an election that you want to have, but people don't believe in it. And by people, I mean Americans, and I mean Americans across the political spectrum. And I think there are lots of reasons for that. Why not? Well, one is because $10 billion has been spent on it, $3.5 billion on the presidential election itself, over $1 billion in Pennsylvania. And only a few states matter because this isn't about every vote counting equally. It's an electoral college where only votes in states that could actually swing one way or the other will determine the outcome. And so a lot of people feel like their vote doesn't matter, feel like it's an enormous money suck and spend, and that people that have that influence are the ones that are going to end up mattering and getting the policies that they want and capturing the system, so they don't really believe in their democracy. Then secondly, one of the candidates shouldn't be running. And I feel strongly about this. It's only because impeachment no longer functions as a check on executive power that Trump is able to run right now. And he certainly doesn't believe in a free and fair outcome unless he wins. And that, I think that should be table stakes for an election, that both people that are running have to be prepared to accept the outcome no matter what happens. Certainly I would accept the outcome. I did in 2016 when Trump won, and I considered him my president. And I did in 2020 when Biden won, and I considered him my president too. And it doesn't really matter if I like the outcome or not. The point is, that's what an election is all about. But increasingly not in the United States, and certainly not this time around. And that is a very big concern. I am worried about the state of America's political institutions, not about the state of democracy everywhere around the world. I don't think this is a problem, a structural problem in most democracies. I think Canada is just fine. The UK and Germany and Japan and South Korea and Australia and New Zealand, plenty of democracies around the world that function well. The United States, we are watching these institutions erode real time. The legitimacy that American citizens hold for their elections, for their executive, for Congress, even for their court system, the Supreme Court, certainly for the media, basically for anyone and any institution that is in a position of authority and power. Increasingly, the belief that American citizens have in those institutions is eroding. And that has led to a long, particularly divisive electoral cycle where Americans might as well exist in two different planets in terms of what they do and don't believe about the candidates and about the vote. And I think it's a real problem. I think that's been true for the coverage that we've seen over the past week. Some of you may have seen me go after so many of the media institutions for saying that Trump had announced that he wanted Liz Cheney killed or executed at a firing squad, which he didn't say, and which was complete crap. It was garbage. And I've seen, and this was a major headline for 2 days across the mainstream media. And if you think mainstream media is bad, social media is even worse. The amount of active disinformation, lying, fake news that's being algorithmically promoted, including particularly by Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter X, which is where a lot of people get their political information. And don't even get me started on citizen journalism, which is even more biased than actual journalism, just without any of the expertise. And as a consequence of that, almost everyone I know today believes some things about politics that are clearly not true. Now, I am not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to make an endorsement. I think that you, the voters, get to make up your mind for yourself. I will tell you who I voted for. I voted for Kamala Harris. This probably does not surprise people. I am not a Democrat. I have never been a member of any political party, and certainly pre-Trump, I have voted for Democrats and Republicans, and I continue to vote for people on the basis of who I think they are as candidates. But I am unprepared to accept someone that is unwilling to accept a democratic process, the outcome of a free and fair election. I am convinced, completely convinced, that whether Harris wins or loses, she will accept the outcome. I'm completely convinced of that. And I am also convinced that if Trump loses, he will not accept the outcome. And that, for me, is foundational, irrespective of what I think about their policies on other things, in part because I think the presidency is constrained, and in part because I think at this point, American institutions are increasingly vulnerable. So in other words, I think those things matter. Look, I clearly would make a lot more money under Trump. First time around, Trump reduced corporate taxes. He reduced taxes on the wealthy. He reduced regulatory restrictions in lots of ways. I mean, private equity firms did really well, and real estate companies. And, you know, as someone who started my own company and has built it up globally, Trump is great from a financial perspective. I don't care. Also, he's great for political risk. I mean, there's more international uncertainty and volatility. And so my firm, Eurasia Group, that is focused on that, would do better in that environment. I don't care. That is not the point. I consider Trump to be the most unfit person for office I have ever encountered with political ambitions. I felt that way when he was a Democrat. I feel that way now that he is a Republican. I don't think the party affiliation matters. He certainly isn't ideological. It's just about him. And for me, that is a serious, serious problem. But whatever you do, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me. As you know, I don't mind if you disagree with me. It's not a problem. It's not fundamental. Doesn't mean you can't be my friend. Certainly doesn't mean you can't follow me. But whatever you do, if you're in the United States and you're a citizen, do not opt out of the process. You know, our ancestors, my grandmother, grandfathers did everything they could to get to this country. Heck, historically, some of them, many of them committed unspeakable atrocities to clear the land of the folks that were actually living here before. Do not dishonor all of that by thinking that you don't need to put in any work, that it doesn't matter. There's a lot of things that are broken about the U.S. political system, but none that are so broken that we can give up on it. None that you can wash your hands of it and say, there's nothing I can do, my voice doesn't matter, I'm giving up, I'm not putting in any work. And the most limited amount of work that you can possibly put in is voting. And I think that voting with your heart and with your head is the absolute minimum. obligation that we all have as citizens. I am proud and patriotic to exercise mine, as I always do, and you should be yours too. And again, you heard who I'm voting for. You can tell me who you're voting for if you want, or you cannot. Again, it's a secret ballot, and this is a free country. The important thing is that you speak your mind, and when you agree or disagree, you tell people that too. So happy Election Day for what it's worth. I am sure this too shall pass, and I'll talk to you all on the other side. Be good.